You were told a very specific story about how the world works. Work hard, show up early, be loyal, be patient, and eventually, it pays off. For most of the 20th century, that story was true. It wasn't perfect, but the math held up. You worked, you earned, you built. Generation by generation, things got better. That story is no longer true, and deep down, you already know it. After World War II, a deal was struck between labor and capital. If you gave your time, your best hours, your best years, the economy would give something back. A house, a pension, a future for your kids that was slightly better than your own. That deal wasn't written down anywhere, but it was real. And for about 3 decades, it held. Somewhere in the late 1970s, the deal broke. Quietly, without an announcement, productivity kept rising, companies kept getting more efficient, more profitable. But the share going to the workers who made it happen, that started to stall. By the time most people noticed, the game had already changed. But the story, the one about hard work and reward, that story stayed exactly the same. Here is what actually happened. Technology didn't just make work easier, it made workers more replaceable. And the gains from that replacement, the billions saved on labor costs, the margins unlocked by automation, those didn't flow to wages, they flowed upward, to shareholders, to executives, to people who already had capital. Meanwhile, 3 specific forces were quietly hollowing out the middle class. First, housing. The asset that previous generations used to build wealth became the primary tool for extracting wealth from the next generation. Owning a home went from a milestone to a barrier. Second, the credential treadmill. You were told that education was the key. So you got the degree. Then the market said you needed a master's, then experience, then a portfolio. The finish line kept moving. But the debt you took on to chase it, that stayed perfectly still. Third, debt became infrastructure. Not a last resort, not an emergency measure, a design feature. The modern economy doesn't run on wages alone. It runs on consumers borrowing against their own futures to keep spending today. Here is the cruelest part of the illusion. The harder you work inside a broken system, the more the system benefits. Your extra hours don't compound for you. They compound for the shareholders of wherever you work. This is not a character flaw. It is not about mindset. It is structural. The architecture of modern employment was not designed to make workers wealthy. It was designed to make capital more productive. And yet the system is brilliant at convincing you otherwise. It gives you a promotion title without a meaningful raise. It offers you ping-pong tables and wellness apps instead of equity. It gives you the language of ownership, our company, our culture, without any of the financial reality that comes with it. Hard work is not worthless, but hard work alone, inside a system designed to extract that work, will not make you rich. It will make your employer rich. Wealth in 2026 is no longer primarily built through income. It is built through assets that generate income while you sleep, while you work, while you are busy doing everything else. Real estate that appreciates and produces rent. Equity in companies that grow. Intellectual property that earns royalties. Algorithms that trade on your behalf. The new economy rewards ownership, not effort. The people who figured this out first didn't work harder than you. They understood earlier that the rules had changed, that the game had shifted from earning to owning, from wages to returns. This is not a secret available only to the already wealthy, but it requires understanding a system that has a vested interest in keeping you focused on the wrong thing. The 2026 illusion is this: the belief that the path to financial security still runs through the same door it always did. That if you just work harder, smarter, longer, the math will eventually work out in your favor. For most people, in most circumstances, it will not. Not because they aren't capable, but because they are operating by rules that quietly expired decades ago. The first step is not a new side hustle or a new savings app. The first step is simply seeing the system for what it is. Once you see it clearly, everything changes.